He said, your name is Satyanarayana. He said, this is another name of Krishna. He was and is the Shaktiavesh avatar of Krishna. And it completely turned my life 180 degrees. For anyone who preaches in the Muslim world, for that person, I take the dust from their feet and put it on my head. You just have to touch the book and you're liberated. He kept coming up. I saw him float over to the Vyasa-san.
Goosebumps.
And it wasn't just that, it was the love, bhakti that was coming out of him.
It's a true privilege to introduce Satyanarayana Prabhu, a direct disciple of Srila Prabhupada, who received initiation and his life's mission in 1972. As the director of the BPT of the Far East and Middle East, he has dedicated decades to spreading Krishna consciousness globally, touching hearts even in challenging regions, and focusing on Vrindavan. Satyanarayana Prabhu has experienced profound and even mystical encounters with Srila Prabhupada that have shaped his heart and his service. Today he is here to inspire us with the amazing, revolutionary activities of book distribution and Hari-Naam, showing how Prabhupada's mercy touches lives worldwide. Hare Krishna, Satyanarayana Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, I'm sorry.
Thank you so much for coming to this interview. I would like to ask you some questions about Krishna consciousness and about your incredible experience of bhakti and
Prabhupada's mercy.
Prabhuji, you were initiated by Srila Prabhupada himself in 1972.
Correct.
Yeah, and can you describe that sacred moment?
Well, I remember it was wild. The devotees were kind of running around, and there was a board with the names. I mean our regular karmi names, and because Prabhupada was going to reveal what our spiritual names were. So some people didn't know that they were getting initiated, and I think I was one of those. So it started, and Srila Prabhupada was literally glowing, and so when my turn came up, I came over and sat in front of him, and he said, what are the four principles? And then I said them, and I was concerned I would forget one, but I got it out. And he gave me my beads as he gave me my name. So he said, your name is Satyanarayana. He said, this is another name of Krishna. And then he gave me my beads, and because there was literally very little training back then, I put out my left hand. And then, I really beat myself up after. But Prabhupada was so gentle, like a grandfather. He just said, no, that one. And I took the beads. And so, but the mood was just very intense while being extremely enjoyable and happy at the same time.
When you pronounced your name and word Krishna, I felt like Srila Prabhupada was present. Like, his voice, his presence became evident, became so clear here. That to receive chanting beads and spiritual name directly from him, how this defined your mission, how it impacted you?
Well, from the moment he gave me that first instruction, was use your other hand, I was aching for more direct instructions from him, which, after many of the devotees got initiated, they didn't get another direct instruction from Prabhupada. So, but I was really hankering for that, and it just develop deeply how much I wanted that to happen, and eventually it did happen. So, yeah.
It seems like sometimes it's good to do something wrong that your guru can correct you, right? Have this some personal
In a
interaction.
sense, that's what happened the second time too.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Well, we can talk about that when you want to do that.
Okay, but you can mention it now, please.
Well, this was 3 years later in Calcutta, and I had this desire in me to somehow dovetail my college education into Krishna consciousness, because I always wanted to be a doctor, a medical doctor, and I got a degree in biology from a university in New York State. So during those years, the 3 years until that meeting, I wrote him once about being a doctor, and I didn't get an answer because Prabhupada was traveling. But when I finally became a pujari in Calcutta, and so I was invited into his room, and by Satsvarup Swami at the time, and it was very easy. It was much easier to speak to Prabhupada directly in India, because in America it was like he was always surrounded with a forest of dandas, and it was hard to like break through that. But he was so at home there, and so I walked into his room, and he was sitting in a very comfortable way, like this, and he was, there was a table in front of him, and he was clearly in a discussion. And I had given my obeisances and looked, and then I turned, and there was no one there that I could see. Mm-hmm. But he was clearly in a discussion which I interrupted. And then I thought, oh my God, now again I make another mistake. He was probably talking to Narada Muni or to his spiritual master. And so he just looked over and said, yes. And that goes into the first part of how these all came to be. Because he said, I asked him again, could I, first I thought I could say, can I study under your Kaviraj, your Ayurvedic doctor? Because I kind of thought, well, if I said Ayurveda, well, he has to say yes, because it's the Vedas. Boy, was I wrong. And he said, Ayurveda. He said, Western medicine is very advanced. And Prabhupada would do that. He would say something that makes you speechless. Because I couldn't say, but I really meant Western. I really want to be a Western doctor, but I thought if I said this, but I couldn't say that to him. So I just couldn't speak. And then he says, anyway, whatever medicine that works, just use it. And then he lifted up one of his books, and he said, just work with my books and be a spiritual doctor. Which, it's 10 words, and it completely turned my life 180 degrees. It's remarkable how powerful Prabhupada's words, it was like a sutra. And the desire to do anything else but that kind of disappeared. Although I still learned a lot about naturopathic medicine, and I still have found cures for things naturally, but Prabhupada was on an emergency mission. He didn't want us to divert ourselves from being a doctor of the soul and enlightening other people. So I can keep going on with this. He wanted us to be, fully absorbed in his mission, which is to help him liberate all conditioned souls. In other words, if someone's already a doctor, that's fine. But as his direct disciples, he wanted us to, to follow the ultimate, be the ultimate doctor, of the soul, which is basically just to give them the knowledge Prabhupada gave us. So it was, and after I left that was basically, what he said. And I learned that the whole material universe it shapes itself to help fulfill Prabhupada's order. The minute I walked out, there were Calcutta was a wild temple for a while. There were sannyasis coming in it at all times. It was like a hub of early India, and I think Yasodanandan Swami, who traveled with Guru Kripa Swami, I just walk out and he says, "So why don't you do something for your spiritual master?" He said, "Why don't you do something?" And I was a pujari. I was a pujari on a bus in America before the Radha Damodar buses. I have photos of that. And, and I was a pujari in Mayapur, one of the first pujaris with Chinanivas, and also a pujari in the Calcutta temple. Narayani, who's here, and Purna Pragya, they would dress Radha Govinda, and I dressed Mahaprabhu. So I was always a pujari, and I wasn't that involved with books or book distribution, and then Prabhupada, it's like, okay, you can forget that now. And then he said, just work with my books. So he saw something else, that, I should start concentrating on that.
And that's amazing how he could see the essence, right, in every person. And he gave you this specific life mission focused on Middle East languages and Vrindavan. How did you understand this mission at that time, and how did it evolve during the time?
Well, after Prabhupada said that to me, not only did Yasodanandan say that, but I was immediately invited to join the BBT library party, which went all over India. Like we put Prabhupada's, what we did is we got standing orders of his books. A standing order means he was still translating the Srimad Bhagavatam, but every time a book would come out, it would be automatically shipped to that college's or university's library. So, and there was a whole system to do it. Like the librarians never wanted the books because they said, we don't have the money, we don't have the shelf space. So we would go to the professors and get reviews from the professors. And the Srimad Bhagavatam is so amazing, it has all knowledge in it. So you could go to a professor of mathematics and say that this is the original knowledge of mathematics, and you can actually go to the 5th canto and find all that. So it was a great adventure to go to all of these places. And so basically when that was almost over, I came back down to Vrindavan after a year of doing that, which was a year after he had said that order to me. But I was like changed because I wasn't bothering him with my own desires anymore. It was, we wanted to show him and excite him with what we were doing. At that time, Vyasaki was traveling with me, which is like before his music career. So we went up to Kashmir just to explain what I was going to explain to Prabhupada. And I was able to get his books in a Muslim library at a university. It was like a Muslim university, and they took an order, and they had like a interreligious studies course. So so when we came down, we actually got some honey from the Himalayas, because back then it was just like, honey was like some horrible medicine that, you couldn't get good honey.
Okay.
But up there it was an aviary. The bees were, being tended to. And so we brought that present to Prabhupada. And this time, when I had previously said I wanted to be a doctor, Prabhupada he like leaned back a little bit when I was in Calcutta. This time he leaned forward and he said, tell me. He knew that we were his library party men. He wanted action, in Krishna's service. And nothing was more exciting to him. And so I had mentioned that, yes, Srila Prabhupada, I was the first one I could speak to him. I was able to, we needed to go through a tunnel. There's a tunnel between Jammu and Srinagar in Kashmir. It's very high up. So I said, Prabhupada, it was, we went through this long tunnel and it was 4,000 feet high. And then he interrupted me. And he said, no, it was 14,000 feet high. And I said, but Srila Prabhupada, I thought I saw the sign that said 4,000. And he said, no, 14,000. And and then I realized 20 years later that it said 4,000 meters, which is 14,000 feet. So Prabhupada, he didn't like say, you fool, but he just gently corrected me. And then I asked Prabhupada, how did you know that, Prabhupada? How did you? He said, I went through that tunnel and I put my first 3 Srimad Bhagavatams into a library in Kashmir. So then we realized that Prabhupada started everything. He was the first of everything. The first cook, the first library party distributor, the first preacher, everything. And it was so sweet. And so it finally ended where when I said the word Muslim to him, his eyes went very wide. And he said, Muslim. It was like a very like emotional feeling that I got. And we talked a little further, and then he said something that's kind of famous in ISKCON now, that for anyone who preaches in the Muslim world, for that person, I take the dust from their feet and put it on my head. And what I'm doing now, and what all these books are all the energy of Srila Prabhupada. They're the inspiration from Srila Prabhupada. And so I tell, what he said to me, I tell to the Arabic and Persian book distributors, because they're the ones that are showing the books to an Arab Muslim or an Iranian Muslim. And when a Muslim touches the book, Prabhupada said, you just have to touch the book and you're liberated. And so it's an amazing experience that the receiver of the book and the devotee, they feel at the same time. Some of the women wearing the hijabs, they start tearing up because they can't believe we had the compassion to take this ancient knowledge from India. And they're all fascinated with ancient India, even all the Muslims. And that we put it in their sacred Arabic language. It's a sacred language to them. No one gives them anything in Arabic, ever. So they're amazed, and the devotee is amazed that this is actually happening, that for 50 years, no one thought it possible to ever distribute to a Muslim. I mean, they might as well have thought it was like a Martian or something, it was impossible. But by Prabhupada's grace, he set the scene, and so I could go on and on and on, but I mean...
Emotional conversation you had with him, did you have anything like that? More like...
Oh, well, yeah. When I first saw him in 1971 at the Detroit airport, you want to hear this?
Sure.
Because it's, it's miraculous. But right after college, I spent a summer at New Vrindavan, and we heard Prabhupada's coming. And so we got in a van and went to Detroit. So we went to the airport, and of course everything was open at that time. You could go right to the gate, but Prabhupada wasn't there yet, so we were all waiting for him. Must have been at least 150, 200 devotees. And the door, there was a downstairs door with an escalator that would come up. And you wouldn't see Prabhupada until he passed by this banister, this. So people were looking down, and I was off to the side, and said, Prabhupada's coming! And so there was such a tension, and it was the first time I ever actually saw him, even though I had lived in the temple for more than a year. And the moment his head came up, there was a blinding light. It was, I, at that moment, understood the meaning of the brightness of 10,000 suns, which is described in the Bhagavatam.
Goosebumps.
And it wasn't just that, it was the love, bhakti that was coming out of him. So I felt like I was, something hit me from the back. And I hit the floor. And I kind of drenched the floor with my tears. And then I was able to look up again. And I thought that was something. Then, you know how you normally walk off an escalator? He kept coming up. I saw him float over to the Vyasa-san. And he just sat in Vyasa-san, and he just started speaking like nothing happened.
Vyasa-san was at the airport, you mean?
Yes, they made you know.
It was possible at that time, it's amazing.
Anything, and it was completely open. So he just started speaking, and So I thought, I definitely am, hallucinating this. This isn't happening. How could this possibly happen? And for 28 years, I thought that, until I met someone who was there. Mm-hmm. And he said he saw the same thing. His name is Sureshwar. And so now whenever we meet, we always say that we're in the Floaters Club, because we both saw it, and so it happened. And it's not that it's not that everyone saw that, and it's not that that means I'm special. Mm-hmm. It probably means I'm the most fallen, that I needed to see that. But obviously it's not, it was just something he gifted on us sometimes, and certain devotees if they needed it. But he, was famous for not ever wanting to show that side of him, but he allowed me to see his divinity. And so, yeah.
I just could imagine how it all happened. I couldn't stop my tears also, because it's just incredible. I just imagine how you describe very beautifully. Thank you so much for sharing this experience. I even my ears could hear the sound, but it was like the light is blinding and the sound is making me deaf, something like that. How it's difficult to explain. Like this sound, ultrasound, it's kind of, I don't know, it's
the
weird.
Light was just, it was so powerful. It was just not from this world, What to speak of him.
So you just described your unusual, mystical first meeting with Srila Prabhupada, and I of course bet it had a very profound impact on you and your whole life. That moment that Srila Prabhupada's presence on this earth is divine, how it changed your life, from that moment?
Well, I have a picture of that, walking up the stairs behind Prabhupada at the Detroit airport, at the Detroit temple. And I was just looking down. I wasn't shaved up yet. It's 1971. It shows Prabhupada beaming with happiness, because they had just thrown flowers off the roof, and they had just fallen on him, and it was all over his chadar. And so this smile it literally looks like there's it got through to the photo even. It looked like there was the glow. And I'm just looking down and just still stunned. Even when in the Detroit temple, he sat in the Vyasasana. I was right in front of him. And I felt, he looked at me, and I felt like, it's hard to describe, but like I was suddenly intoxicated. Much more than the one acid trip I took in my life at the college. It was just overwhelming. And I remember when his speaking was finished and we were taking rest, I was waking people up. I said, "Is this what it's like? Is it?" Because I couldn't believe what I was feeling. It was so different, but it was very joyful. But it just, to answer your question better, it made me want to dedicate my life to him. So that, there was no doubt back then of his, he's not just another guru or something, or, he was and is the Shakti-Avesh avatar of Krishna. That was a tiny bit of his Shakti mixed with Bhakti. So he's wasn't from the planet. Krishna gave him this gift because he was the only disciple of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur who fully surrendered. None of the others were able to do that. It's just the fact. So he got the full blessing of the entire parampara, and he revealed that. Other people saw him floating on at the London Rath Yatra. You know, they saw it, they couldn't believe it. So he, you know, so it made you realize, I better get serious.
Yeah. And you are so lucky to be one of those persons, lucky souls who could experience this divinity in just person, like human being. And I think we also are lucky because we can still experience it through his books, through his purports to Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. So even though we haven't met him personally, and many people who get to know Krishna consciousness, it's truly possible to get in touch with this divinity through the books, through the word, his word.
Fully.
Yeah. Spoken about this miraculous and revolutionary nature of people dancing in Hari-Naam.
Like Muslims dancing with us.
And Muslims dancing with you. What, from your perspective, what makes Hari-Naam and book distribution such a powerful tool, spiritual transformation, even though the modern world is so materialistic?
When we are in the womb of our mother, as an embryo, the first cognitive experience, the first experience we have of cognition, of the brain being conscious, is the sound of our mother's tongue, the sound of the mother tongue, when the mother is vibrating. So all I can say is that when a Muslim or a Persian, or it's pretty much with any foreign language person, when they see a book in their own language, it goes so deep instantly. But I think it's times 100 with a Muslim or a Persian, because for centuries they have a separate, they had a completely separate culture. So that's why it hits them so hard in a beautiful way when a devotee holds out this book. And they get very, very emotional. And it's so beautiful to witness that. And they want to go above religion, because the experience that some people have, and also the Muslim people themselves, of just a few people putting a bad name over a whole culture. They're tired of being called those people. These are just the people that visit the Western world. Those are the ones who get these books, because we cannot go directly to like Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, or Tehran, Iran. So I think I got an inspiration that since we can't go there, when they come to the West by the millions as tourists,
right,
university students, and residents, that's where they get the books. And then the most wonderful thing is when they go back home, they take the books back home with them. So it's kind of like Srila Prabhupada turning these very nice Muslim people into book distributors. They're the ones that can go back. They're the sons and daughters of the families. They're the parents, the cousins. So they go back home and they share it with their friends and family. So we've done about 250,000 of these books in the past 11 years. And then if they show it to 10 people, that becomes millions. And so I might have gone off track here a little bit, but
I will ask, like, how do you know the statistics? How many Vaishnavas are among the Muslim world? in the Muslim countries?
Well, this is making Vaishnavas.
In the process.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Very gradual process, right?
Yes. You know, when Prabhupada said when they touch the book, what to speak of reading a word, it completely changes the heart. So, you know, the devotees, you know, they have to live very quietly there because it's not allowed. But the people that come back from the West, they're allowed to bring a few books back, you know, like souvenirs, yoga books. So the customs doesn't mind that. But it's happened many, many times now. So, I mean, I would say that there's 250,000 Vaishnavas. You know, they're on the path.
That's impressive, and it's only through the books, right?
Yeah, I mean, they don't have any other, except Hari-Naam, which when they see us on Hari-Naam, I also have that on my Facebook page, them dancing with us. They, you know, they don't even really understand what we're singing, but they're so much seeking God. They're really serious. You know, I have this joke, my problem's never with the Muslims, it's trying to convince the devotees how sincere these Muslims are.
So there's a big advantage of these people, right?
Yes, and so they just want God. They don't want all the problems with the religion. And that makes them the perfect audience for us, because we're not talking about religion, we are talking about the science of God realization. So we connect on that highest level. So they hear the sound of us chanting, and they immediately feel a joy in their heart, and they start dancing with us. And we show them the mantra, and that they try to say, how you know, they try to say it, but they start dancing, and they immediately want to donate and buy the books.
Impressive.
So yeah, so it's happening now all over the world, in Europe, Australia, USA, Canada, UK.
Oh, so being Hari-Naams all around.
Yeah, and Arabic and Farsi book distribution.
You did this book distribution directly on the streets, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So.
Yeah, I hope that the Facebook page, at least it can be shown the link.
Yeah.
Because I have over 100 photos of them getting books in Paris, UK, and they're beaming in happiness.
Yeah, we will share
Full
it with
on
the
Muslim.
audience. We will share it with the audience.
Okay.
So, as you mentioned, Srila Prabhupada, he wanted to inspire action. So, what is the single most important message that you hope viewers will take from seeing these activities, like people dancing on the streets and getting the books?
Well, because Prabhupada never made a statement like that, as far as I know, and I've asked all my godbrothers, and they never heard him say that he would take the dust from the feet of his own disciples and put it on his head if they would preach in the Muslim world. So I'm a little biased. I will answer your question, but all I'm saying is that if everyone who's listening to this, the devotees and those who might be interested in someday becoming a devotee, if they would distribute one Arabic book in their life, and I'm telling you, it's very easy. It's not like you're thinking that it's, you know, it's going to be some horrible. No, it's the exact diametric opposite to that. It is so joyful. So it's easy to do. If you would do just one Arabic book, because Prabhupada wants it so much, you will have your choice of flower airplanes back to Godhead. Your choice. If you like lotuses, Daphnes. I'm just saying, Prabhupada never made such an amazing statement or blessing on a devotee. Because it's not that we're giving our, it's a horrible concept to give, Prabhupada take dust from our feet. What it really means is that the entire parampara will give their dust to anyone who does this. You know, it's very easy to do like this. A few devotees went into the Middle East, and that was extremely dangerous, you know, but they had a lot of, inner strength to do that, but it's not necessary to do it anymore like that. So, anyone who does this can get this remarkable blessing, and I don't think it's matched by anything else.
It sounds so inspiring and motivating. I felt like I want to distribute this one book in Arabic language. I used to distribute in English and in Korean, in Russian,
Yes,
but not in Arabic yet. And Sankirtan, to be honest, it's one of the most powerful spiritual experiences.
it's life itself that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
After book distribution, I could feel that holy name, and Srila Prabhupada got extremely merciful. I want to repeat this experience since it was so long time ago. Thank you so much for this inspiring word that you shared.
Wait till you taste distributing an Arabic book or a Farsi book for the Iranians, because that is also the people of Iran. They have an old history called Zoroastrianism, and it's actually in the line from Manu. So they are very open to this. You can see actually these covers won a design award in the United States for culturally focused design. See, we wanted to be very careful. Like for this, you can see the difference. This is full color.
Right.
This is for the Iranians, because they already know Krishna. And it's called a sepia tone, so that Krishna looks the same color as Arjuna. So we didn't want the Muslims to think, what is this? This is, your God is blue or something, We wanted them to touch the book. And so once they do that, they're already feeling liberated. But we have Krishna's name all throughout the book. So we wanted to design it very, very carefully, So, yeah, it's...
That's very wise. Yeah, had to take some investigation, right?
Yeah, we had to do a lot of work, and now this is the latest. It's the Srimad Bhagavatam in Arabic, the first canto, first part of it. And we also designed the book so that even if it's on a bookshelf, you can still see what book it is.
Yeah, beautiful.
So I'm just saying that I think that would be the easiest way for someone to make tremendous advancement because of Prabhupada's special blessing.
Work in the Middle East and with Middle East languages is very unique. So what spiritual insights or challenges? Maybe could you please speak about challenges
Yes.
you encountered when you try to bridge the cultures?
Yes.
Yeah, languages, trying to fulfill Srila Prabhupada's mission.
Yes. So I'll talk about in relationship to Arabic again and what the people are experiencing on the street. On the street. The worst thing I ever heard that happened was in Los Angeles. A lot of them come to Southern California, especially from Saudi Arabia, because there's an agreement between Saudi Arabia and the United States that they give scholarships to students from Saudi Arabia to go to universities in the United States. So there's been over 200,000 Saudi students that come, and they love California because it's same weather, kind of. So I think I lost my...
What are the obstacles you face?
Yes.
While reading the cultures?
So in LA, it was the first place we started to do the distribution. And one time there's a devotee, his name's Shastrakrit. He's a Indian body devotee, very, expert at book distribution. So he was one of the first ones that started distributing. And there were like 3 young Arabs. And they kind of walked up to him and said, "So what is this? We have the Quran." And he's very cool. He said, "That's very good. These books will just help you appreciate the Quran more." And they were like still a little they were arguing a little bit. And then one elder Arab walks up. He says, "Be quiet." He tells him to be quiet. And he says, "Now I want you to buy all these books." Because he saw the purity of what was going on. He forced them to buy the books.
Oh, just a stranger from the street?
No, he was like, I think, in that whole group of Muslims, of Arabs. And so he got angry at them. So that's as bad as it's ever gotten.
Wow, so you never met aggression, nothing like that?
No.
So the culture people?
If they don't, if they are a full Islamic, they can also be spoken to. There's a devotee, his name is Krishna Kumar. I think Prabhupada and Krishna sent him to me because he distributes thousands and thousands of these books. He's doing it right now as we speak in Detroit, which is interesting. Detroit's the same area where I walked up the stairs with Prabhupada.
Mm-hmm.
It's also the area where there's the most concentration of Arab people are there, about 400,000 in that area.
Mm-hmm.
So
Krishna sent this Krishna Kumar to you? Or what was
yeah. So the larger question you asked has escaped me a little bit. But for Krishna Kumar, yes, you asked, is there any problem sometimes? So he can go into a mosque. Imagine if someone came to our temple, and Muslim, trying to preach the Quran.
Wow.
in the temple room,
Mm-hmm.
like strongly. It's just, let's just say it's not appropriate.
He's doing this regularly?
No, I'm saying if someone did that,
Mm-hmm.
even we would think it's not appropriate.
Yeah, right.
So what to speak of someone who's inside he's running a mosque, full on Muslim, and Krishna Kumar can come into that mosque, show the book, and he has certain lines he speaks in Arabic. The head of the mosque, it's happened many times, he says to him, "You are more of a Muslim than we are." And he buys the book. He also goes to Palestinian rallies, these rallies that have, for all this Palestinian, this fighting that's going on. He can go in there and sell the books because he's so pure-hearted and he's so realized. And he was doing this as a bhakta also.
So this interaction with this devotee gave you much inspiration or insights?
Yeah, I just feel that he, because because Prabhupada said that to me directly. He put something there, which is a burning obsession. you know, and sometimes you really want to get it done, and you know, if I might feel that I'm not getting enough help from different people who could be helping, so yeah, I feel that Krishna and Srila Prabhupada, even though that may happen, they still want this so much that they send very special people like him.
Mm-hmm.
And he also became the #1 book distributor in the world year after year. Even those who are distributing English books, he beat them with Arabic books.
It's a special blessing. It's
Yeah,
a special talent.
especially Arabic books. We allow for more book points. So we want to encourage the book distributors. So we were able to push the book points up a little bit. That's a whole other story. But yeah, it's you know, it says when you, as far as I understand things, there's something called the cutting edge. Do you know that phrase? The cutting edge. When you're doing something that's very, very special. Beyond that is called the bleeding edge.
Mm-hmm.
Krishna is dancing at the bleeding edge. You know, when you take risk, and all we have to do is think of Prabhupada. What did he do? Alone, 70 years old, alone, on a freighter, 2 heart attacks, completely alone. His godbrothers didn't help him. He didn't know to turn right or left, he said, in snow which he never saw. So if ever we think we have problems, always go back to Prabhupada. Mm-hmm. Then you come back to the ground, your feet are on the ground again, and then you realize that whatever we've experienced is absolutely nothing. So we should give everything, you know, to Prabhupada.
Right. Those who might be hesitant to practice Krishna consciousness or about engaging in devotional service, few words to encourage people to get into Krishna consciousness, change their lives. Because some people are like around, they watch, they live in somewhere far away. Many Indian people look us from different countries, they watch us, and still there is hesitation. Should I devote my life to it? That experience you had made you feel, oh, it is serious, I want to devote my life. But some people are liking this blessing, to have this turning point in their lives.
Our philosophy clearly states that we got the human form of life after a very, very, very long time of billions of births, and when we get, it's only in the human form that we can ask, who am I? What is the purpose of life? So a dog cannot ask, why am I here? Why am I suffering? Only a human can do that. So it is the rarest possible chance. And sometimes it can be just one chance. It's imperative. It's the greatest blessing. And sometimes we have to look at the negative thing to scare us before we go to the positive wisdom. We have to see what is the negative consequence of not becoming Krishna conscious. And that is going back down into the animal form of life or less, where you're living always in fear. So it's, the Gita talks about it. It's like always being in fear of your life. We sometimes feel fear as a human, and sometimes due to war and due to all of these terrible things, that's another impetus to get out of this material life. So they should be encouraged to read Prabhupada's books. That will take the message deepest in their hearts, and in whatever language they are native to. A Japanese person should read a Japanese book, because it will go deepest in their heart. You want to go back to the things that affect you the most. So that's what I would say. Prabhupada's books.
So reading should become our sadhana, our daily, let's say, routine.
And association with devotees as much as possible. The people that come should stay longer and talk to the deities, just because they're there. They want to move. I had an experience with that, which I didn't tell, but I'm sure many devotees have had that experience. So, and it's usually when you're feeling very humble. Krishna wants so much to walk off the altar and hug you, but we have to be pure enough. So,
I only could notice, or maybe I thought it's a hallucination, that Krishna's gaze can change.
That's correct. Yes. He wants we make one step, he takes 10 steps.
Right. And you said a very important thing about the fear, that we all live in the fear, all kinds of fears. And actually practice of Krishna consciousness, reading Srila Prabhupada's books, chanting the holy name, make us fearless. So whatever happens, war in the country, war in the family, war in the heart, it can be all solved somehow with the power of bhakti, right?
Yes. And then that's by taking shelter of Abhaya Charanarvindam Srila Prabhupada, the fearless Prabhupada.
If you could instill one heart's desire or deep realization in every person who is watching this interview, what would it be?
Chant Hare Krishna and be happy. I once considered that Prabhupada's ultimate sutra. Sutra means to bind together large things like cloth, like thread. It means thread. So Prabhupada gave a chant Hare Krishna and be happy. 6 words actually describes everything. And the way we are all going to realize that, again, you can't get away from reading Prabhupada's books. But the ultimate thing is everyone wants to be happy. So we can't even imagine the happiness when you're completely in the spiritual world and completely fearless for eternity. So many like these movies, and they lived happily ever after. So we all want that, but we just have to wake up from this dream, that this world, that we should stop trying to make a solution to try to live in this world forever. So it's possible with Srila Prabhupada's mercy, and only with Srila Prabhupada's mercy, to live happily forever, and with all your family, and and just wake up. It's like waking up from a sleep. So I don't know, Prabhupada gave us everything, and we just have to, open our hands and receive it.
Not miss the chance, right?
Yes.
Because sometimes we have it, but we are taking it for granted.
And, it might only be one chance so. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Satyanarayana Prabhu. It's very precious, your deep insights and what you shared from your heart. The way you shared it made me feel goosebumps, crying, and feeling as Srila Prabhupada's presence here. So thank you so much, because I've never, had such a close interaction with the Srila Prabhupada's disciple, except with my Guru Maharaj, but still I didn't have such a long conversation with my Guru Maharaj. So I will accept your instructions and your very important words as a Shiksha instruction. Thank you so much.
I am just Prabhupada's servant forever, and whatever came through it was from Prabhupada. That wherever good came through was from Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, thank you.